Hello and good day, Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
And I'm Tim.
And we are on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Today we wanted to talk a bit about books for camping or camping-related books. If you wanted to do a bit of research before you head out into the wilderness. And we have a number of books to talk about, so I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
So what Pamela's referencing is when we record these podcasts, we record them in our bedroom because it's the quietest, there's no children. Half of our bed is covered in books. I have camping issues, man. So it also includes reading. We both read quite a bit, and weirdly, I read about camping a lot.
And watches videos and joins Facebook groups and.
I can quit anytime I want.
No, you can't.
I'm not even sure where to begin, to be honest. Those of you that have been following us for a while know that I have a tendency to lean towards backcountry camping. That's my favorite type of camping. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love car camping. It generally means the whole family comes, and that's a win for me. A number of my books are about backcountry or outdoor adventure, maybe is the right term. Starting with nonfiction. Also, those of you that have followed us for a while know that I'm a bit of a Kevin Callan fanboy. So I'm holding in my hands 3 books, but I'm sure I have a 4th. I just haven't found it. I have the 2nd edition of Complete Guide to Winter Camping, Paddler's Guide to Algonquin Park, and Once Around Algonquin, an Epic Canoe Journey. All good, all totally different books. Kevin has a wicked sense of humor, and he's a good storyteller, man. So he does the great historic moments to all of the routes that he talks about. Lots of information. You know, whether it's about watch out for this portage or keep an eye out for this type of plant while you're doing that sort of thing. He's pretty amazing guy. And local grown, so we like that. Local grown for those of us here in Ontario.
Local flavor, and he makes some good YouTube videos too if you want to check him out.
He does. He and everybody, but he and his buddy Andy are a riot to watch. I just say it. By all means, I totally endorse. I think it's Casey Happy Camper, something like that. That's what you want to be looking for. Oh man, I have so many books. You know what? I'm not going to do them all because we'll be here all day. Adam Schultz is another huge favorite of mine. I only have 1 of his books. I have intentions of buying 3 more. The first most important thing is he's an amazing adventurer. He's super knowledgeable in so many friggin' things. He literally knows everything about the outdoors. And he does insane journeys. The one I have in front of me is called Beyond the Trees. It says a journey alone across Canada's Arctic. I'm not sure that he's in the Arctic for the whole time. It is an insane journey where he's traveling with something crazy like 175 pounds of stuff, whether food, tent, all the things to keep you alive. And he literally drags the canoe across portages. So anybody that has a canoe knows that's sacrilegious. Like he's literally... He has figured out that he can make the canoe last this long if he drags it, and the goal is to get to the end with an intact canoe that doesn't leak and stuff. But he's also such a great historian. He knows about camps that happened 100 years ago and stops and checks them out, and there's just the bare remnants left or what have you. He is a fantastic storyteller. And it's not fiction. Like, it's amazing stuff. I was going to use a different word. There are a lot of government-type books. In particular, I'm talking about Guide to Eating Ontario Sport Fish. So it tells you about maybe bad things in the water, whether it could be mercury or something like that, or they say you want to eat fish that are over this size, that sort of deal. I have a lot of sort of guides to paddling and hiking Ontario's Southern Shield Country, Waterfalls of Ontario, provincial parks, trail guides, because there are trails in most of the provincial parks. That actually works extremely well for car camping. If you want to do car camping and then get you and the family out to do some additional touring around, see things that aren't maybe so much in the campground themselves, maybe a little bit farther out. That's an excellent one for that. I actually quite like reading about those trails.
Going for a hike in the provincial park sometimes is really cool. They set up really nice routes, like the one at Killarney, which we really loved.
The crack, that was awesome. That's a bucket list thing for a lot of people, and yay, we got to check off a bucket list.
Yeah, it was an amazing hike.
Yeah. Here's a simple one for you. It's called Pocketbook of Knots. I can't tell you how important that has been to me, other than Scouts. Like, I didn't know anything about knots. I actually got this sort of accidentally. In a previous life, I worked in special effects, so we did a lot of rigging things, which involved ropes and stuff. I got that book in order to figure out how to do different types of knots to accomplish different ends. It has played a massive role in my ability to rig things like tarps, do whatever food hangs, but to keep them away from bears, that sort of deal. It's simple, it's small, it was cheap. I want to say it was around $8 or $9. There you go, $9.95. Nope, sorry, that's US. It'd be $47.42 in Canada. It looks like it was around $16 in Canada. That's a handy one to have. Even if you just drag that around with you, especially front country like car camping, totally worth its weight in gold. So I'm looking at two cookbooks, and these ones play out well for backcountry. The Dehydrator cookbook, my lovely better half bought me years ago, because when you're backcountry camping, again, less weight is better. We had a Salton, I think it was called, with terrible. It had a lot of mileage on it, and it was not a high-end dehydrator. We used it for years, man, 3-4 years probably. I'm pretty sure it was already end of life. Like, I picked it up for free in one of the trading posts around here. But she bought that for us, and it was awesome. It's my go-to book. It's been my recipe book for all of our backcountry camping trips. Well, I have a new one now. It's called Backcountry Eats. It's by Kevin Ride. Thomas just used it literally yesterday to plan out our menu for our upcoming 8-day French River loop. I had a quick thumb through it this morning. It's laid out amazingly well for your different meals throughout your day, and for so many varieties. And then it has like a baking section. It has knowledge section about how to dehydrate, how to rehydrate, things, anything involving food. But he shows multiple ways of doing your bear hang, to hang your food to keep it away from big and small critters in the backcountry. Raccoons get into my stuff. They make me crazy, man. I'm going to flip it over to Pamela for a second. She's got a book she'd like to talk about, and then we'll come back to maybe some fiction. How's that?
I have a book for camping. This I actually purchased for our ill-fated first Kawartha Highlands backcountry attempt. Tim's shaking his head in despair. I bought it because I wanted to do some foraging while we were out and about, thinking it'd be pretty cool to try to find some edible plants and see what we could do with that. And it's a really great book. It's called Peterson Field Guides, Edible Wild Plants. And the pictures are really great in terms of helping to identify the plants. There's lots of color photos. There's lots of drawings. There's lots of just how to identify certain plants. And if you are eating plants out in the wild, you want to be very sure about what you are eating, that you aren't picking up something that's poisonous and shoving it in your mouth and making for the rest of your trip to be a disaster.
Which, that's fine in the front country. There's people around to call 911. Backcountry, not so good.
Yeah, so anyways, no picking the poisonous mushrooms and eating those, but this is a good way to try to help identify, to make sure that you are eating something that's safe. And also, really handy tool that, provided you've got cell phone service, is Google Lens. Google Lens is an app that you can download on your phone, and you just point it at whatever plant you're trying to figure out. It kind of takes a picture, sends it to Google. Google tries to match it with the identical plant online, and then gives you the information about the plant. So that's been really cool too. Sometimes, even around here, my real job is I'm a naturopathic doctor, and so we use herbs and plants all the time in practice, but they're often in a capsule, so you don't actually see what the real plant looks like. But this helps me actually to see, this is what burdock actually looks like out in the wild, and I can be walking even here in the city past burdock and know that, okay, this is what burdock actually really looks like.
The Google Lens thing, it's funny. I happened to read a story in one of the 8,000 camping groups that I follow on Facebook, where somebody actually took a picture of something before they walked through it, used Google Lens, found out that it was poison ivy, and managed to save themselves the hassle of discovering it in the less pleasant way.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty awesome.
That's one plant you really want to know what that looks like. Even at Ontario Parks, that there will be lots of signs saying, make sure to stay on the trails. Don't go wandering off into the woods unless you know what you're doing, because there is poison ivy in the area.
Think of it as a nature preserve. It's not like they're going to remove poison ivy because it's going to do bad things to people. People stay out of poison ivy because it does bad things to them. That's how that goes. They don't drain a bog because, oh, we have too many mosquitoes here. No, that's nature. That's how that works. So, yeah, it's there. I'm not going to preach. That's the good thing about Google Lens. Yeah. When you have service, which is why I go backcountry, because I don't have service. Nobody can get a hold of me. So I'm sorry, I know I said I was going to come back to fiction. I actually want to come back to some really cool stories, or rather novels that were written that aren't fiction. 3 of them off the top of my head, all of them amazing gifts from amazing friends. I will do the most amazing one last, just because I've actually read it twice, cover to cover. First one I would throw out there is Mark Adams, Tip of the Iceberg. It's a 3,000-mile journey around Alaska. And it's like Adam Schultz. He doesn't have the same sense of humor, but he does have great descriptive skills. Certainly worth a read. I quite enjoyed it. Wild Fierce Life. It's about somebody who wants to spend their time sort of in nature, countered or balanced with the need to make a living. You have all the things that you're responsible for. It's a fantastic story. She's done it's amazing. I don't pay that much attention to what I do, so I could never write a book like that because I keep moving along. She made a point of finding all those moments to take sort of snapshots of. It's pretty wicked. Blind Descent by James Tabor. The book that I'm looking at is actually my second copy because I lent the first one out and it went from that person to another person to another. I don't know who has it anymore. I had to go buy it again because I wanted to read it again. It's a story not outdoors. It's in caves, and it's a quest to find the deepest place on Earth. It is absolutely spellbinding. Like read until it's 2:30 in the morning. You're going, oh my god, I got to get up in 3.5 hours or whatever. It is that. It's the most riveting story of people trying to go deep into the earth and all the hurdles to overcome, all the setbacks, it's terrible. There's death. There's so many things to overcome, and you're never quite sure. Did we find the deepest place? They certainly found the deepest place to date. It's a stunning story. The storytelling is just mind-boggling. So beyond anything I've ever read before. And now we get into fiction.
So the fiction story is called Medicine Walk. This was actually a gift from one of Tim's tenants to Tim, and surprisingly or coincidentally, our 16-year-old just was assigned this book to read it for English class in grade 11. And I didn't know at the time that we actually had it. It's about a 16-year-old named Franklin Starlight. He's called to visit his estranged father, finds that the father has been declining over years of drinking or alcohol abuse, and there's a difficult journey then into the backcountry because the father wants to go into the backcountry to relive his past and to revisit some of the places that he recalls as a child. And in doing so, there's a learning that happens between the two of them. It's supposed to be quite an excellent story, winner of several prizes and much praise. And that's it for us for today. Please do connect with us. We would love to hear from you by email. Our email address is hi@supergoodcamping.com. We are on all of the social media. We have a YouTube channel. We have an Instagram account. We have a Twitter. And we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group called The Campfire, which is totally free and open for anyone to join. So we would love to see you there. And that's it for us for today. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.